Good morning, INFJ friends. I just had a couple things come up and I thought, yeah, I could talk about this. It's pretty important because it's about communication. And, we deal with this as soon as we wake up in the morning until the moment we go to bed. You have to communicate with your boss, your children, your spouse, everyone, every human you meet all day. You need to communicate with. I'm sure you've had this experience as an INFJ. People often misunderstand you. So what we want to do is understand ourselves as completely as we can, and then put yourself in the other person's shoes. So you want to understand them a little bit better, see where they're coming from, and you want to bridge the gap. It's gonna be you. We can't really ask other people to do the work because they may not be capable. I mean, this is part of who we are. This is a hallmark of who we are. We have a lot of mental energy. So to ask us to bridge the gap, to do a little bit extra, it's not really extra. I mean, I like thinking. I think on behalf of my husband all the time because he's just not up to doing the in-depth thinking. And I'm pretty eager, so it's not really a big deal. But I was with an INFJ friend yesterday chatting, and she and I do very well together. And she even missed something I said because I didn't do a good job explaining myself in an email, and it wasn't even a big deal. I was just thinking, if there was that misunderstanding, then I could be doing it other times. Well, of course I'm doing it other times. If I'm doing it at all, it's a pattern. So I wanted to change things because when I communicate with my friend, I would like her to be able to receive everything I'm giving. And I already have been implementing these things with my husband because, you want the most harmony that you can have in a relationship. You see this person all the time. It's important that you are on the same page, even if they are your opposite, which is in my case and probably most of yours. You attract somebody that's different than you in a relationship because it's interesting. So anyway, these are two of the ways that I help others understand me. Well, it's not just about them. It's bridging the gap. It's not just about them doing the work. I want to make it easier for them because I do think I'm more complicated, right? So it should probably come from me. So when I'm writing, I'm going to talk about writing and then speaking. So when I'm writing to someone, I have noticed that I'm pretty wordy all my life. And I bet you've noticed this too with yourself because you like communicating your many thoughts. Well, most of the people out there don't have as many thoughts as you. So you might not be able to hold their attention. So you don't want to lose your audience. You want to get it all out. Get it all out of your head. So an example, I usually will email with my friend in the morning, and all my thoughts from the night or our last conversation, they all come piling out and just basically dumped in a series of paragraphs in her instant messaging. So what I did today was I let it all dump out. I let it flow organically, just like because it feels good. All that energy coursing through you, that mental energy of your thoughts and ideas that are fun and interesting, it feels good. So you want to express it. What I'm saying is express it. Put it in a note though. Put it in a, use your note application. Get it all out in raw form. Get that out. Enjoy yourself. Have fun. and then do something else for just a little bit. Now, I just played, I'm addicted to Christmas Sweeper. But it's good for me. It's good for me to just chill out and not use that mental energy. It's good for me to do something just completely mind-numbingly dumb. So I did that. And then when I came back to my note, I was in a more relaxed state. And it was a different me coming back to that note that I prepared for my friend. And I could see where I went off on little tangents and got a little overly excited, or I may have given her too much information that was not necessary. And even though she's an INFJ friend and she can play with me at that level, at that high energy level, maybe I don't want to make her do that. You know, she does have other things to do, especially being a mom and this and that, wearing a bunch of hats. So I think we should edit everything, because I tend to think most of us are leaning towards being wordy, because we have a lot flowing through us and we don't want to stifle it. You don't want to squelch that, because that's part of your fun as a thinking type of person. You know, not thinking in the traditional archetype sense. I mean, you got a lot of brain energy. Where it's coming, if it's coming from your unconscious or just that magical thing we do in our heads where we're matching patterns and all that. It's fun. It's fun coursing through you. So I'm saying get it out and then go back and edit, and you will surprise yourself. You'll surprise yourself in what you'll trim, because after you get done being you can get your eyeballs behind the person reading it and see how it will be for them to accept all of your, I don't want to say manic, you know, that burst of energy. You just want to edit it, clean it up a little bit. And then I had a more cohesive, a gentler flow to my words. And I think it's much better. It's a much better communication. And I want to add that kind of quality to everything I do in my life, because my energy patterns can be kind of like, woo. And you have to harness that power, that mental power. Okay, so that's how I do that. Before I instant message her, before I email somebody, I just do it, get it out. Do something mind-numbingly dumb. Doesn't have to be a dumb game. Wash the dishes. That's it. Come back. That's all. When I'm speaking, now, that's more spontaneous. So this is a pattern that you're going to have to lay down for yourself. Convince yourself that it matters. Because, you know, INFJs, we need a reason. We need a motivation. So the motivation and the reason is harmony. Harmony, I'm going to use my spouse as an example. Maybe this might suit you to think about your boss. Somebody that you can't quite jive with. You want to be on the same page. Difficult family member that's not your type. Whatever. So I want, the overarching theme is harmony in my life. I want harmony. I want happiness. I want joy. And that means not taxing out my spouse or confusing him, because he is not me. He's one of the sensor types, the thinking types, the types that they don't do excessive thinking for no reason. And that's fine. I love that about him. I love that calmness. So it is important, because this has led to many disagreements, you know, in 2.5 decades. So what I do is, one thing I've learned is not to pounce on him when he gets home. I work as an entrepreneur in the home, so sometimes I lack stimulation. So my mind is going all day. And then when he gets home from his job and stimulation, the last thing he wants is my pent up energy. So I make it a point to let him have his decompressing time. So I don't pounce on him. I also don't talk to him at the speed I'm talking to you right now. Because I have learned that over the years, I have been confusing him, and he hasn't asked for clarity. I assume he would, but I had no business assuming that, because he is not me. He would just let himself get buried. He would try to keep up for a minute and then just abandon ship. When I'm throwing at him my Beth energy, my INFJ energy, which is expansive. I can hold, and you can hold, a lot of thoughts in your head at once, but we have to remember that they can't receive them all. So what you have to learn to do is become aware that you do it. If you're new to this, think about it from their perspective. Realize they don't have that capability. And they're not lacking. They have a life that benefits you by being grounded. They're more grounded. They're more earthy. Their feet are on the earth. That's what I mean by that. Many times, our thinking abstractly, it's like we're just kind of floating around up there, whichever way the wind blows. So we normalize each other. If you have that relationship, you'll recognize it. So we don't need them to change. We don't need them to come up to our speed. We want them to try a little, and we try a little. So for me, that means slowing it down, making more of my point, just like I did with my email, even with my INFJ friend. Get a little more to the point so he can follow me, not get lost. Slow it down a little, and then here's your key. You want to see this written. Check in. Check in with your buddy. Check in with whoever you're speaking to. Your coworker, your brother, your spouse, your kid. Start your conversation, and then use your intuition, use your telepathy. Okay, get into that later. And check in. Make eye contact and make sure they're following you, and then give them that opportunity, because my spouse wasn't going to tell me. He just would get all overwhelmed, and didn't need to be that way. So that's what I've learned, and it's been helping me, because I was making assumptions about this was an example of maybe some arguments. I have made assumptions that the other person was following me and understanding me, because I think they're not consciously, but I've made assumptions that they're mind reading, because I am, as an INFJ, I do a lot of mind reading, and I'll go back in my data bank, our storage houses of memories that we've been collecting and looking for patterns subconsciously. It's not so subconscious to me. I'm pretty aware of my patterns and connecting things when I'm speaking. But this poor person isn't. When I was younger, I didn't know that those people didn't have that gift that we have of connecting the dots. I'm calling it mind reading, but that's what it is. So that's the other thing to keep in mind. They don't have the capability that you have, so you have to speak to them differently. Unless you're lucky enough to have an INFJ friend, then you can do that awesome synergy thing where you don't have to explain yourself. All right, so that's that. Thank you guys for listening. I'm going to work on something to hold my camera so you don't have to take a Dramamine. And I want to give you my closing shot of my tree. I made a video about my holiday decorating, because as an INFJ, I overthought it, and I didn't do it for many years. And also in a typical INFJ fashion, I didn't do it I was overthinking the whole Christmas thing, but also my husband doesn't care about decorations. He's the only one that would really see them. And guess what? I forgot. I like decorations. I didn't do it because I forgot that I mattered. And I learned that through learning about my personality as an INFJ, we tend to be so externally focused on others, we forget to put ourselves on the list. So that's a practice that I engage in, and it's really helped me in life. Be happy and loving and all that good stuff. Okay, and that's why I'm a counselor. I want to teach you everything I've learned, because it wasn't fun. But it's fun now. So thanks for hanging out with me. Talk to you later.